Hey, hey, everybody, how's it going? Of course, I'm never ready. I want like live, like I want whenever I go live to be like, you know how it is at the beginning of every single live is, hey everyone, how's it going? I'm back with another video. Instead, it's always like me fumbling around like, what? Are we live? YouTube needs to get on that. Like it'd be great if like you could like clap and then like the count starts a countdown and then it goes live. Anyway, how's it going? I'm going to do a quick check just to make sure that my audio is coming through because I am one of those guys that like, yep, I'm always worried that my audio is really bad when I'm live. Okay, so we got somebody in chat. How's it going? Oh, it's my mom. Hi, Mom. So today we are going to not work on the model railroad. We're going to do something a little different. We are going to build an aquarium stand. I know this is a model railroad channel and it's supposed to be all about model railroads, but I'm building an aquarium stand. And what I thought might be kind of interesting is, can you hear me? What I thought might be interesting instead of building a model railroad is building the aquarium stand because, and doing it on my model railroad channel, because one of the interesting side effects to model railroading is you kind of get good at other things. So like I built all this bench work, and so I kind of know how to put pieces of wood together. So what I'm going to do is I'm building an aquarium stand for my daughter's fish tank. She has a small fish tank. We have it on an end table right now. But what I want to do is I want to move it to an aquarium stand because we have a CO2 reactor and we've got electrical outlets and we got electrical stuff and we got a ton of stuff that goes underneath this fish tank. And we don't want the baby getting to it. So I'm building a stand specifically for the tank, size specifically for the tank. It's going to have a locking door so that the kid can't get in and screw up the CO2 reactor and just really mess things up. The kid loves the fish tank, and I know that kid's going to want to like just dig around in everything in that fish tank when he gets big enough. So we're building a stand. I went out and looked at stands for the tank, and nothing really was the right size or the height I wanted, and they didn't have like necessarily a good locking door. And I was like, I can build one myself. I've got the skills, I've got the tools, and it would be a fun project. So I figured that's what we'll do. We'll do that, and we can talk about like how model railroading has affected like some of the stuff we're able to do around the house. Some of those like honeydew chores and some of the other stuff that goes along with that as we go. So yeah, check chat real quick. So Yellow Bonnet Productions asked, how big is the layout? Is it loop or point to point? Good question. So the layout is 20 by 14. It's in a 20 by 14 foot room. It goes in a loop. I have two separate main lines that loop around the room. If you go to my website, you can see a track plan for it, mfrailroad.com. You can see that track plan. So it's a decent sized room. I'm not filling it completely full. A lot of guys will take a room like this and build a peninsula in the middle or wrap it around a couple times, double deck, that kind of thing. Even though it's a larger space for a model railroad, or good size space anyway, I'm keeping the amount of railroad I put in the space kind of small for a couple of reasons. Reason number one is I want to get it done in my lifetime, and I work slow, so I don't want to put too much railroad in there and become overwhelmed. Another reason is this is my man cave. This is my playroom, and I do things like build aquarium stands in this room along with playing with trains. So I wanted the space for that. So yeah, so that's that. Okay. So this aquarium stand is more than just like some pieces of wood stuck together. Like I'm actually building it like a nice piece of furniture. As I've worked with wood and become more comfortable with it and collected more tools over the years, I'm on the Ryobi tool system, so I have things like orbital sanders, I have jigsaws, I have nail guns, like this kind of stuff. Awesome, cool tools that you buy for your mono railroad, but you can use them for other things as well. And when you have these kinds of tools, it makes the other things that much easier to do. So something like trying to cut up wood for a stand is not so hard. And also, like as I've become more comfortable with like woodworking itself, I've become more understanding. I've come to understand how wood works as a medium for creating things in a little bit better, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm just not as scared of wood as it was before. You know, the idea of like, oh, if I drill this wrong or if I cut this wrong, I'm going to screw up this whole thing, screw up this whole piece. You kind of get a better idea as you go how to cut things, how to sand stuff down nicely. I've done some experimenting with staining and like wipe on poly so I can get a really good looking finish to the wood. So I don't know, it's fun. My best friend Ben actually does a lot of woodworking himself for fun. And so we've been kind of comparing notes as we build things. Hey Taylor, how's it going? Thanks for stopping in. I got some pictures of the prototype. That's awesome. It's really cool. My wife and I are actually looking to take a trip out to Washington soon-ish. Well, in the next few years. Her best friend lives out there now. Her best friend lives in Spokane, which is like, I think it's like an hour and a half from the area that I'm modeling. So I told her we should go out there, take a train out there one day. She can visit her best friend, and I can escape and go wander the tracks for a while. The stand itself is very overbuilt. It's built to hold up a 10-gallon cube tank, which is about 100 pounds. And of course, I way overbuilt it. This thing will be able to hold up like 500 pounds when it's done. But what is it they say? Better safe than sorry? Something along that lines? Actually, let me do it this way. This is my top. Okay, so that's the front. I want the stand to be as heavy as possible because I don't want it to be top heavy. Because my son, I don't want him like running up here one day, slamming against it, and then just like the whole thing tips over. Because you're going to put about 100 pounds on top of 32 inches of wood, and you know, if you're not careful, that could be top heavy. I think we'll be okay though. I think it'll be heavy enough that it won't want to move. So you're making lumber loads and tricks for gluing them. I don't know. I'm going to make lumber loads as well. I don't have a trick for gluing those, so I would think that your best bet would be, I would think white glue would be your best bet. If you're making out a balsa, I think you could probably water down some white glue and paint the loads and then place them. If you're talking about taking like flat sheets and putting the flat sheets together to like simulate like stacked plywood or something. Yeah, if that's the case, I would think that watered down white glue would be the way to go there. Another thing you learn from auto railroading when it comes to woodworking is the measure twice, cut once rule. That really applies. Beyond simply getting better with building, with wood, I've also gotten much better with electrical work. Which is nice. I purchased some yard lanterns. I think large yard lanterns. Those little solar powered things you stick in the yard and they light up. So I purchased a few of those, and one of them wasn't working. So I ended up opening it up, and I saw that like the solder had come off the circuit board that connects the solar panels to the light. So I was able to like figure out where it was supposed to go, solder everything back together. It was awesome. I was like, wow, like I actually know what I'm doing here. This is amazing. So instead of like having to return the light, right? Or it was like a pack of 16 lights. So having to return all those lights and not having any outdoor lights while I wait for them to like receive the package and send me back something else, and then being without lights for 2 weeks or whatever it would end up being. I was able to like just fix that one light, and it works fine. And now I wouldn't do that with something that was expensive. Those yard lights were like, they were cheap Amazon ones, so they're like $20 or something like that. But if I wasn't like soldering stuff together all the time on my model railroad, I would never have even really considered that I could do something like that. So that's awesome. Plus you begin to like really like appreciate just the build process. It's not so strange and unusual anymore, and you're like, oh, I could build something. Okay, so how do I want to do this? What I'm planning on doing is just like gluing the top down along with screwing it into the four corners. But I want to make sure that I have it super precise. I guess I got to remeasure. This time it's not going to be quite as easy. One of the things I love doing, let me get Mike over here. One of the things I love doing is watching Adam Savage build. Now, I am no Adam Savage, not by a long shot. He's got awesome tools and experience, and he builds crazy cool stuff. What I like about watching him build is he's taught me a lot of stuff that I've been able to incorporate in my layout, construction, and any other stuff I do. And that is just do it, just build. Like, you don't know what you're doing, you'll figure it out along the way. Overanalyzing. Overanalyzing the process. Is going to lead to you not actually doing anything at all. Now, why is this so far off compared to this side? That's 1 inch. That's 1 inch. It's under 1 inch. Okay. So these are just a little bit wider than 16. There's 1 inch. Yep. Yep. And yeah. Okay. And then from here to here, 1 inch. And from here to here, 1 inch. Okay, we are lined up perfectly. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill the pilot holes so I can get those right. Then I'm going to lay down some glue, put everything back, and line everything up to the pilot holes, and I should be able to drill it in perfectly then at that point without an issue. That is the idea anyway. Oh, I need a battery. Okay, so if I've done it right, that looks pretty right. Okay. I am doing, this is more than just bench work for a model railroad. This is actually a piece of furniture that's going to be sitting in the house. I want it to look as nice as possible, so I'm going to counterset, what do you call this? Where you set the nail down or the screw down into the wood a little bit, and then you cover it to hide it. Because on a normal model railroad, if I'm screwing something into the wood, I just kind of screw it in and kind of get as far in as possible, but the screw head might stick out a little bit. I don't know why I keep looking at the microphone. You're over there. I want this to be nice and flush and pretty looking, so I am screwing the screw into the wood, making sure the head is flush and underneath the top of it, going back with wood putty filler, laying over top, and sanding it down. And when I stain and finish it, it'll be smooth and look pretty good. That is the plan. This aquarium has turned out to be a lot of fun. I used to have a very large, well, no, I shouldn't say that. It was not very large. It was 37 gallons and then another 20 gallons sunk underneath the tank. So for me, it was large because it was much larger than anything I had done previous, but it was a saltwater tank. I had it back in the early 2000s. I don't know how I got interested in a saltwater tank. I had fish tanks growing up that I really enjoyed. I think maybe I just saw the challenge of the saltwater tank and thought, ooh, that'd be fun. Problem with saltwater at that time anyway was that it was so expensive. Like to keep your fish alive, you're spending thousands. And then so what I ended up doing was I built a saltwater tank. It was very nice and it worked, kept my fish alive. And kept it, the water was super clean. But then like, once I got to that point, I'm like, all right, I want to grow corals now. But to grow corals, you have to have like special lighting, you have to have very specific filtration, you have to keep your water parameters perfect, which means like more water changes than you normally want to do. And then changing water changes on salt water is a huge pain in the butt. Nobody likes changing fish tanks, water changes in fish tanks. Anyway, you add salt water to the equation, and it is a nightmare. I didn't screw that up, did I? No, I didn't. Okay. Whew. Thought I might have screwed that up. So it got to a point where if I wanted to continue with the saltwater tank, I would have had to spend a lot more money, and I was not in a position to do that at that time. But it was fun to build. I ended up tearing it all down. Now that my daughter has gotten into fish, kind of gotten excited about fish keeping again. So if this tank is successful, if we do well with this, if we are growing plants and they're going great and the fish are doing wonderful, we'll stay in freshwater. I don't want to go back to saltwater again, but we might get a bigger tank. And then I'll be building another stand. Okay. I think that's going to be about it. Okay, so what we'll do is stick this on here. And line the screws up with the holes I created, maybe if I can find them. Come on. Here we go, there we go. Come on. Make sure that actually is aligned. Measure, measure, measure. This is the trickiest one to get right, I think. The rest of it was not quite as difficult to measure out. Had a little more visibility on the rest of it, I think. Yep, we're good. Drive those screws home. No, you don't want to go down any deeper than that, but that is flush. You don't want a fish tank thing with like screws sticking out the top because that's where your glass sits. I think we're okay. I think once I fill it in and sand it down, it'll be all right. Okay. I'm not 100% happy with how that side turned out. Let me go with a larger screw. This is 1 1/4. Let's try. Let's get a little meat, a little more meat into the wood, or into a little more meat of the wood. I like that much better. Okay, cool. That's good, that's good, that's good, that's good. Take a look at all the glue, make sure the glue is on, but nothing's dripping. That looks good. Cool. All right. Some of me wants to keep going. A lot of me wants to let that dry good. So I'm using plywood. This is like, what do they call it? Like end glued plywood. They're like pine wood boards that are glued end to end to create a larger surface. And it's not the best quality stuff. Like I've used red oak in the past. Super nice. This stuff is soft and it kind of wants to bow a little bit. So this is why we're gluing and screwing so much, just to keep it from doing that. So I think what I want to do is I want to put a heavy weight on here until that glue is perfectly dry so that there's no bowing in the middle. This needs to be ultra flat because if I put a rimless tank on this one day, it needs to have a super flat bottom so that the tank there's not more pressure in any one spot of the tank that could cause a leak or the tank to break. It's for nano tanks, it's for small tanks anyway, but so like it's never going to have a ton of pressure, but you know, 100 pounds in one small section could cause issues. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So that means we're going to end this stream while I get some. I'm going to fill up a bucket full of water and set it on here and just let it sit there for a while. A weird one, I know. Not normal model railroad related live streaming, but I mean, I think this is fun. This is a little bit of woodworking. And you know, and just talking about some of the benefits that this hobby has had on other hobbies, on just around the house. I mean, I've learned how to run electrical through walls and build walls because I wanted this room. I've gotten much better. I mean, just things like painting walls. You get much better at it. You know, you learn. Like I'm no longer painting. This is weird. But I'm no longer using tape when I paint walls, masking off, you know, areas of the walls. I'm just painting. I'm painting to the edge and just being careful. I've got those skills now because I did all the fascia and everything around here, or not fascia, but lower parts of these walls around here. And I don't know. I mean, you pick up skills, you learn things along the way. You get faster at other things. You get more confident. You can take on projects like this. This would have cost me twice as much to build in the store, and it would not be at the specifications that I want it to be at. To have everything I want laid out the way I want so that I can have, you know, my CO2 reactor, I can put all my chemicals under there, mount up an electrical outlets and all the other things I want. You wouldn't necessarily get that with something you buy at a store for twice the price, right? You can build it yourself, get it exactly the way you want, and then you have like a custom stand that's all yours. Something that like you can say to somebody like, "Oh yeah, I built that." They can be impressed. Anyway, I'm rambling, and it's not even a real rambling. Thanks again, everyone, for stopping by. I appreciate it. And it's a little bit of a shorter one, but I think it'll work for now. And I'm going to continue working on this through the weekend, and I'll probably post pictures on my Instagram, let you guys know how it ended up. But thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in another video.